we covered the traditional scanning methodology. The process is pretty simple, right? But I think what happens is like people really forget that a lot of stuff can go wrong. And a lot of what makes you a good pen tester is not so much how good you are at hacking. Okay, so when in doubt, what would Joe do, right? This is the Joe way. It's really, you're gonna find that the bulk of these little tricks that you know from a pen tester side of the world come from your background in system administration or from network administration or from software development, right? Okay, well, as soon as you connect to the network, you start scanning. What I hear a lot of the students say is, hey man, I just don't see anything out there. They do a ping sweep, right? So you connect to the network with our VPN, and then you do the most typical thing, which is a ping sweep, right? So you see right here, nmap, lowercase s, capital P, that's your ping sweep. You try to scan the whole network. And then what you immediately realize is nothing works. Let's give it a shot. So I jump down here, I immediately say nmap, let's go, sudo nmap, lowercase s, capital P as in Paul, 10.0.0.0/24, and I just go for it, right? Okay, so now I'm scanning, and you guys are seeing my round trip time variable is changing, right? So I'm definitely running into that RTT bar. I now know I'm dealing with a headache. Something's messing with me. It can be a router, a firewall, an IPS, multi-layer switches that are performing some sort of routing function. I may be going through a VPN. I may be bouncing from site to site through some sort of MPLS cloud. I might be going through site leased lines and dealing with CSU, DSUs. I might be crossing across through tactical comms, bouncing over satellite links, bouncing over microwave wireless shots, any of this type of stuff. Encryption devices or bandwidth limitations, right? Right now, we don't know that, okay? We don't know, but something is messing with us. Okay, now as soon as I've done that, I got 170 hosts up. Now, I don't know about you guys, but very few networks are so deeply saturated. Very few subnets are so deeply saturated. Doesn't mean it never happens, but are you guys seeing that 183, 184, 185, 186, 187, right? 188, 189. Again, if I were you, I would raise an eyebrow. I'd be a little conscious of that, right? I'd want to try and dig a little deeper. So what I would do is I would change that from a capital P to a capital L. Capital P to a capital L. So why don't you guys do the same thing? So the reason I would try to do that is I would try to see if any of those hosts like this. So I'm doing this against CNN. You see how I got all these hosts with nothing there? But if I grep for com, there's my hosts, right? So what's nice about this is if you try to ping sweep CNN, I'm pretty sure it's CNN that does this, right? So I'll try to go for that ping sweep against CNN. Let's see what happens. There we go. All right, so he shows all 256 hosts up. When we did that list scan, we could see, now look, as I go through this, there's no DNS resolution for any of these hosts. All right, so it's 45 seconds. He says all 256 hosts are up. Okay, that is definitely not possible. Definitely not possible. So what we'll do is we'll run it again and grep for com, see if I can get some DNS resolution for some of those hosts out there. Alright, so now we got some hosts from that ping sweep. There you go. Did you guys notice now when I grep for com, I got some hosts here? So that ping sweep, this lets you know you're dealing with a firewall for sure. So looking for DNS resolution is a real quick way to try to figure out what's really out there. Okay? We did our first couple of options, right? Now what I want you guys to try to do is IP crawl. With IP crawl, you can run these commands. IP crawl does the exact same thing as your nmap list scan. Does the exact same thing. So all you're going to do is download IP crawl. You're going to compile it. GCC is the GNU C compiler. You can see that it's a C file. You're going to do an output to the file called IP crawl, and that's how you run it. You're going to change mode to give it the execute flag, and you're going to tell it to scan the whole subnet. Okay, I've already got it compiled and installed. So let's see, go into my tools directory and /IP crawl, right, 10.0.0.1 to 10.0.0.254, and you'll see how quick it is. But if you look, you see that there's no change in DNS name. Okay, now that should tip you off, okay? You guys should have figured out right now there is no Active Directory in this environment. Okay? There is no Active Directory in this environment. Can anyone tell me why? If there was Active Directory is based on what protocol? Can anyone tell me what protocol is Active Directory heavily intertwined with? Dun dun dun. DNS. Good job. So, if you were scanning this network, you would see if there were Active Directory, these computers that we find in here would have host names that would include the domain name, right? So you would have, joespc.labnet.com, okay, as an example, right? So the entire thing, as you went through the whole domain, you would see computer name dot domain name, right? And then you'd also be able to do net commands, right? This is what simulates an internal pen test, okay? So we definitely should be able to figure out if there's Active Directory present based on these two scans. In this case, there's not. So we tried our two scan types. Already showed you this, right? So if your ping sweep is blocked, here's an alternative. Another alternative was the ARP scan. Now, in this case, the ARP scan will not work. Okay, so in this case, you can see as soon as you did this across this next subnet, if your ARP scanner comes up with absolutely nothing, then you've got a routed subnet between you. Okay? Now, some people align their layer 2 VLAN boundaries with their routed subnet boundaries. So you may be thinking that you're on a flat network, but you're really going across a layer 3 boundary. Exactly, Bedry. We just figured out that we have a layer 3 device between us. Okay, so this is a routed subnet. That's good. Good that you figured that out. Exactly. Okay. Now that we figured this out, if we go back and we look at our discovery stuff, we need to figure out what's causing us some problems. So when we do our ping sweep, some of you guys are getting multiple hosts, some of you guys are getting all 256 hosts. That's definitely telling you that there is a layer 3 device that's doing some sort of filtering. It could be a screening router, it could be a firewall, it could be something. Something's messing with us. So now, as soon as you realize that, immediately what I would try to do is I would try to test the network without pinging it, right? So let's try it like this, okay? So I'm going to do a -pin. I'm going to look for port 22, okay? All right, so I'm still in the same situation. He's telling me 256 hosts are up. Now remember, the last scan I ran, he said I had 170 hosts are up. So I'm definitely messing with something, right? I'm going to do a lowercase s capital V. Can anyone tell me what that one is going to do for me? Yeah, that's going to do my version grab, okay? All right, now I want to try and add a little special sauce to this joker. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it and add some timing to it. What I'm telling it to do, hey, sudo nmap, capital P, lowercase n, don't ping. Lowercase s, capital V, version grab, timing option, and then I'm giving it a list of ports. Okay, 21, 22, so 21 is FTP, 22 is SSH, 80 is the web server, 443 is the web server, 1433 is SQL server, 3389 is RDP. So I'll make this real fast. I'm just going to look for port 22 and port 3389. I'm just going to look for port 22 SSH and 3389. Now there's a reason I'm doing that. That's because this is usually pretty fast for me to find Linux servers, because Linux servers tend to run SSH, and Windows servers because they tend to run remote desktop. So it's a fast way to look across the network and say, okay, do I have any machines that are running these ports? Okay. Okay, now I got a whole lot of information, and it's all saying a bunch of the stuff is filtered, right? So let's see if we can do a little something about that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a grep for up. So I'm going to grep for which ones are up out of that list. Okay, I got nothing. Okay, so why don't I change that grep and grep for open? Aha, I see, said the blind man. Okay, so grep open definitely found some hosts. Now let's try and do something a little different. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grep and I'm going to awk. So he's just selecting fields. Okay? Yeah, print these fields, right? So every time there's a case where there's an open, I want you to print field number, what? 2 and 3. Okay, I'm sorry I forgot to tell you. Also add output greppable. So output greppable, right? So dash OG space dash, right? Gotta have the space dash. So what you're saying is look for open. In every case where you have an open, print field 2 and field 3. Now what would be nice about this under normal circumstances is you would have the IP address and you'd have the host name as well. Now in our case, we're not joined to Active Directory, so you're not going to see the host name, but normally you would. So these are ones that have at least one of these ports open. So we definitely have machines in there. Let me pipe that joker in WC-L, word count, WC, space -L, lines. All right. Ta-da! So there's my number of hosts with open ports. Okay, so I'm showing you this stuff that I just got finished teaching you, right? So I just showed you how to go through these grep for open, print field 2, print field 3, which is what you just saw. I get a line count on them. If you just print field 2, you'll get a set of IP addresses. So if you do that, then what I should just end up with here is a set of IP addresses. So this becomes my IP address list, and then what I would do is I would feed this list into my vulnerability scanner. So if you have Nessus or something like that, once you're done outputting your formatted list of hosts that you know are reachable, then you make Nessus consume the list.